Om Shanti everyone. Welcome to the Brahma Kumari's Next Normal. I'm your host, Sister Jenna. How are you? What's new? What's on the ponderosa of your mind? What's going on up here? I wanted to have us go right into today's conversation, which will be focused on the energy of resistance. How many of you have walked with the energy of resistance where it has become your norm? You're so normalized in having energies of resistance, that you don't even know that that's what's creating your obstacles, that might be the reason why there are certain challenges. There might be a reason why there isn't clarity. There could be a very, very strong reason why it's just not happening for you. And instead of focusing on the resistance that the soul is feeling, you start to blame people, situations, circumstances for the reason why you're in that situation. Let's say, for example, you want to tell your teenager something, but you have the fear, that resistance, that if you say something to your teenager, they're going to react or they're going to get upset. So you go back and you're more like, I wish that he would do it like this. Why is she always like that? And after all we've done for her, look at what she's doing now. We start to project so much on the outside what's going on that we don't actually take the time to say, but is my resistance feeding this situation? The energy of resistance is something I've been exploring of recent. As you all know, we're going to be relocating and getting a new space and looking for expanding our services here in the metropolitan area. And we can't be more thrilled about doing that. The boxes are all packed. We're ready to move on. Om Shanti. Absolutely no resistance. The only time I felt a resistance was when my thoughts began to slide into why, what, how could this happen, but, what if? And when my thoughts started to go down memory lane about all the reasons why it shouldn't be this way, etc., that resistance was so strong. I was like, where am I going to take this? And what is this going to do for me anyway? So it was interesting for me to watch how sometimes I would slip into that mode and then I would have to tell myself, that's not where I am. This is done. We're moving on. The only thing we need to do is to get the funding. The place is there. The individuals are working on cooperating with us. We're done. And then comes the whole idea of funding. Fundraising is something I never do and we never do it. So I'm like, oh, so now we need this amount of funds. Okay, how do we do that? So I'll tell you, oh, we're getting a really nice little mini retreat place. It's ready and prepared. Please send us a reoccurring donation. Let's get it going. Okay, so then it will happen, right? That's the intention, that's the motive. Just go to Meditation Museum, click on the donation link, do your reoccurring donation, and we're going to get in there within a few weeks. No resistance. But I found myself going in and out. It's like, oh, well, how do I do this now? Resistance. Oh, who do I turn to? Resistance. What's going to happen if I resistance? Now, I might be thinking it's this person, that situation, this circumstance. When in reality, maybe it's my own energy. That could be like, well, hold back on this. Wait on this a little bit. So let me go more into whatever this is. And please put in your comments right now what your definition of resistance is for you so we can look at it together. Or what have you felt when you have identified there is resistance in whatever it is that you want to do. Going into a job interview. So many are now looking for jobs, right? And you go into HR and you sit there and there's a little bit of that resistance. Am I going to get it? Not going to get it? You go in for surgery and you're lying there before you get your anesthesia, and you might have a little bit of that resistance. Should I really do this? Maybe I shouldn't. And they tell you to sign this paper. If anything goes wrong, we're not responsible. That's room for resistance, without a doubt. But where does this vibration of resistance come from? Where is it being fed? Where's the birth of it? Please put it in your comments. Please put it in now. Whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, where do you think your energy of resistance is coming from? I think it's coming from experiences from my past. Something that I have either done or something that I have been through, and it left an experience in me. It left a feeling. And for whatever reason, I wasn't able to address the feeling. It's sort of like you can be going through so much in a particular period of time in your life, and you just don't have any time to process what you've been through. So it just gets stuffed in. And as it gets stuffed in, it gets tighter. And you just start to travel with the energy. Everywhere you go, you travel with this energy of resistance, and you think it's normal because that's what the experience leaves behind as a scar. So I've been thinking about, where does that energy come from? And then let me identify a few things that I have seen, and tell me too if you felt the same. Please put it in the comment. Let's have a great conversation today, everyone. So you want to go for something, and then you get this thought in your mind, no, what if? I don't know. That you get a pullback. Have you noticed? Like there's an energy inside of your consciousness, and it just pulls you back. Like it forces you to come back. Like it says, where are you going? I remembered one time I was in India, and I was having this beautiful meeting with God on the mountaintop. And I was sitting on the floor in meditation, and there were a few people that I had been very familiar with, and I was actually called up on the stage. And would you believe, as there's one person on the stage calling me on the stage, and they're the people that I've known, that I know, on the floor telling me, where are you going? Stay here. And they're pulling me back. My opportunity, my fortune, my vision, my fruition is calling me. And then there are these people who were like naysayers. They were pulling my leg and go, where are you going? Come back. And what actually happens with this energy of resistance is that sometimes we listen more to that energy than the energy of the vision that's pulling you. We go into the push mode, we go into compress, we go into push her down, take her back, squash those high ideals or good thoughts or pure feelings, whatever it is, just squash it. I found that resistance doesn't want you to progress. Resistance doesn't want you to believe in a vision that's bigger than the one that you are currently living from. I found that vision is only fed when it feeds your handicap, when it feeds what is your limit in your personality. I found that the energy of resistance can be so strong in many of us that we don't even know our whole life is fear-based, and we're not living fully at all. And yet, many of us in the world, that's become the norm, to live in that state. I've found that resistance also becomes this trigger that when you have to either decide to go into a marriage, or you have to decide to come out of a marriage, or you decide to go into a relationship with someone, or you decide not to, many of us have this automatic, deep intuitiveness, this subtlety, this chemistry in our being that listens, like, is this the right thing to do or not? Do you feel it? Is this the right thing? And it's as if you wait to see if the resistance will come up. And if you start to feel it, if you're deciding to go and get married, if you're deciding to get into a relationship, a big one, to pick up yourself and just leave a particular country and move to another country because you're just tired of this one. And all of that anxiety that gets stirred up in you, that energy of resistance can also be, to some extent, a signal to help you to recognize really what has been holding you back. What is your limitation? So are you willing to break through the energy of resistance that has found a seat at your table of consciousness? Imagine resistance is at the table of every decision that you make, especially the big ones. Your resistance could be at the table influencing your decisions when it comes down to even a change in your diet. Do you know how many individuals I've invited to begin a vegetarian diet, and there's a resistance that comes up immediately? I can't do it. The resistance of what? The resistance of giving up what I've known, giving up what I'm comfortable with. Even though I might be right in telling you a vegetarian diet is healthy for you, it helps the environment, it definitely saves lives, and everybody might know that intellectually, but the resistance is so strong. It's like those people who were pulling me back from the stage. They just were pulling me down. Where are you going? Just to let you know, I did end up going on the stage, but I kept thinking of them like, why were they pulling me back? Am I doing something wrong? It was such an interesting scene. So there's a recording inside of us. There's something inside. It's connected to loss, shame, guilt, disappointment, betrayal, whatever it is. But it's all wrapped up in this energy of fear and resistance that it's like it's just walking with you. So when a situation comes into your life, whether it's a relationship, whether it's do you have enough money for attaining a property, whether it is your health, now you have a health opportunity, how are you going to manage it? Whether it's just your state of mind, just the way you think about things in life. It's interesting the way resistance sits at the table and sees if they will win over the decision, or will your vision and what you believe is your bigger awe, if that's going to win. And would you believe this, everyone? Every single day we are tested. And what do we feed? I've been investigating this for such a long time. There is, I try to find the image in my mind. It's like a boulder. It's like a cement block. It's like a brick. And as souls, we're walking around and living our lives pulling that brick, pulling that boulder, taking that boulder along. So that means as we're trying to think we're moving in life, we're not going anywhere. It's like really, really slow, very, very slow. But we think big and we talk big, but as we have to bring in the motion, we have to bring in the action. Watch how your thoughts begin to hold you back. Watch how that resistance comes in. It said, well, no, I can't reach out to this person. Well, this didn't happen. Oh, well, if I tell this one this. All of that is the resistance sitting at the table trying to make you decide, go with the way of the resistance. Don't go where your vision is. Why do you want to go with your vision? If you go with the vision, you're going to break free. The cement block is going to leave you. The boulder is going to go. The brick is going to go. Or it'll break up in little smaller pieces and you'll feel lighter. Resistance is fed by heaviness. If you're heavy, there's no enthusiasm, there's no spark, and I'll tell you this with such conviction. A proof of resistance, a proof of heaviness, a proof of the fact that it has got you under its spell, you waste time. One of the gifts from Daddy Janky, and I'll remember it forever, because I want to carry this understanding in every one of my births. It's this heaviness that comes with waste time. Wasted time. I've seen what one person with vision, focus, enthusiasm, courage, determination, and enthusiasm can accomplish. And I've seen what a group of 5-10 people with absolutely no motivation can do nothing. And I ask myself this question to myself: what will it take to shock us into the energy of saying, I've got to do this. I've got to get my life together. I've got to put things in order. I've got to have a system. I have to have a routine. I've got to take care of my spirit. Because the only thing you're going to do is feed the resistance and let it sit at the table. How are you feeling as I speak these words today? Please put it in the comments. Are you with me on this? Have you felt it? How many of you want to actually get up and get out of your house and go and do something magnificent? But what you're used to doing is just sitting and keeping it easy, or just staying on a Zoom machine. It's just easier. I'll just settle here. We settle for less every time resistance sits at the table and makes a decision for you. Every single time. And I'm not talking about less in comparison to other people's more. I'm talking about less in comparison to your God-given birthright. Oh, you have no idea how much I've been thinking of this. I've been spending my times in the morning really going in and asking myself, who am I and what is it that is open and prepared and welcoming? And sometimes you feel like little obstructions, little energies that are just not in alignment. And then sometimes you can feel like you're all on your own trying to do this by yourself. Just you, God's energy, your faith, pushing things through, because everything is vibrational. And your resistance is a vibrational frequency. And if I'm resisting and feeling that you are not going to do this for me, then when you don't do it for me, then I say you are the problem. But I don't take the time to look at myself and say, you know what? I felt that resistance that this wasn't going to happen in the first place. And the resistance was, maybe you feel you don't deserve it. Maybe you don't feel worthy enough. Maybe you feel like maybe this really isn't what I want because you're uncertain. You see all those emotions that it's still feeding at you and with you on your table making your choices? So I'm inviting you to consider, what is the pathway for your practice of least resistance? What will be your pathway up here to break the intensity of any resistance that flows through your consciousness? What is it? And I've been working on it. It's a tool of thought, it's a thought that you have to keep creating. We've got to start thinking, I'm worthy. And you have to keep saying it until you feel it. You've got to keep remembering, but I'm God's child, and God is unlimited, and He's the ocean of love and power and peace, and that energy flows through me. You've got to keep reminding yourself of that until you believe it wholeheartedly. You've got to believe that everything that has divinity and sacredness and abundance and beauty on it finds you. That my energy has the capacity to create that. There's never anyone to blame anymore. It's your energy. And even though our energy is connected to other people's energy, which makes it really complicated, there's nothing like a donkey and a stallion sharing the same stable. It's a complete, unique experience. And the donkey can only be a donkey, and the stallion is supposed to only be a stallion. But for the life of me, I've recognized a donkey cannot become a stallion. But it's ironic. I've noticed that a stallion can maybe slow down and be a little slower than what they are accustomed to being, because they're not really in practice in the whole. So that resistance, and no pun intended to donkeys out there, because I love donkeys. Coming from the Caribbean, we used to see a lot of donkeys in Jamaica in those days. And even in India, you'll see a lot of donkeys too, pulling the bullock carts, the carts. But think of it. The resistance is the donkey, and the stallion is the vision. Which one do you want to ride? Which one do you want to take you through life? So give yourself some thought and some attention today about this energy of resistance, and see where it takes you. What are the tools that you need to feed yourself to break the energy of that resistance, so that resistance isn't sitting at your table making your decisions for you. Sometimes our friends will tell us, I don't know how much you guys do and this and that. And this morning I was thinking, when we have a routine and everything flows, it's so much easier. But when I've noticed there isn't a routine and folks have their own time to do their thing, they don't look so good. Like there's no energy in them. And then I've noticed, you understand, you've got to be in this energy of flow, because if you're not, it's like all your stuff and gunk that's sitting there just comes up because you don't know what to do with yourself. So the importance of keeping yourself in the system will help you to move towards your vision, and it will actually go against whatever that resistance is trying to keep you back. Because the resistance, you know what resistance does? It keeps you unfocused. It keeps you heavy. It keeps you uninspired. Oh my gosh, it keeps you so uninspired. And it keeps you in fear. Now on the surface we look okay, but in the soul level, when God looks inside of you, He goes, what are you afraid of? You're my child. You have nothing to be afraid of. It's all in your power. It's all in your possession. And that thing that keeps holding back. So let's decide today. Either we move resistance from the table of our decisions or choices, or we choose to ride the donkey, which represents the resistance, or the stallion that represents the vision. What's your choice? What do you want to do? It's your call. All right, gang and tribe out there, love you so much. Thank you all for joining in. All of you, name by name, each and every one of you, going through each and every one of you. Just remember, let us give ourselves some deep thinking on this. What is resistance? And how do I overcome it? And maybe we can continue in a little series of that as I move along. Anyway, thank you for joining us. Take good care. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.